This congregation back in the 50s and the 60s was a cutting-edge congregation working against racism in the United States and in Denver in particular. We had members of our church. We had several interracial couples, which was an unusual thing back then. We had several of them go down and meet with realtors pretending to want to buy houses, and recorded their interactions with them as they tried to redline them into certain neighborhoods. And so their actions led to ending that kind of those policies in Denver.
This particular congregation has what I consider an interesting and a really fine history within Denver. So as I mentioned, we were founded in 1871. We've been here a very long time. And in the 1950s, as with so many other urban areas, and I mean Chicago, Oakland, you name it, many traditionally white congregations were moving to the suburbs. It was the classic white flight, right? The suburbs were growing and many urban congregations were part of that. This congregation very deliberately decided in 1956, when we were looking for a new building, that we did not want to do that. We wanted to remain an urban church. We saw that as a key piece of our identity. We saw that as a key piece of our ministry. We wanted the ministry to be right in the heart of the city. So we've never been, even from 1871, we have never been further than 11 blocks from the state capitol, even before there was a state capitol, but before that from City Hall. So we are truly wedded to Denver.
So one of the things that I got to participate here was I was on the group that successfully got this building to be registered not only as a Denver landmark building, but to be registered on the National Registry of Historic Landmarks. One of the reasons we got on both of them had not so much to do with the beautiful building, which is beautiful, but of course in the 80s we had this fire that destroyed most of the interior. So the historicness of our building is the outside, not the inside. But both those designations got really rewarded mostly because of the long history of this congregation around social justice issues, particularly around racism and around gay rights. Gay marriage was a big thing and gay rights here in Denver. This church was a center point for that throughout its history. In the 70s, when the Metropolitan Church was just getting formed, that is a Christian-focused church for LGBTQ people. When it was trying to form here in Denver, nobody wanted to rent them spaces because, you know, the Christian churches there thought they were immoral and such, so they wouldn't let them be there. So the First Unitarian let them have their services here up in our chapel.
We had a mission vision process. One of the questions was, should we stay here? Should we invest here, or should we find a larger space, recognizing that the only larger space we could ever find would be much farther out from the center of the city? And the decision was we would stay right here. People were wedded to this historic building. They basically said, we'll do whatever we have to do to stay here. We'll do 2 services on Sunday morning. We'll do 3 if we have to. We will expand our programming, and if it comes to it, we'll try and buy a parking lot or something like that. But the energy was unmistakable. People wanted to be right here, right in the heart of the city.
So there is just this long, wonderful history of getting your hands dirty, doing social justice work, doing things that are not popular out to the rest of the world, because you know in the long history of what's going to be happening, you can stand up for what is right now and take the heat, or you can wait until everybody else gets far enough along so it's easier. Well, this church didn't take the easy route on those things. They have been here for decades working for equality for everyone, and that speaks volumes to me.